welcome back to our NCAA football win total series. We are finishing up with the Independents today, and we are finally at our first big school. We got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and this is always a bowl team. When we go back all the way to 2010, they've missed one bowl since then. That was 2016. They were 4-8. And we're not talking about little bowls. Yeah, last year it's the Sun Bowl, but it's the Gator Bowl before that, Fiesta, Rose Bowl. They had a BCS National Championship game appearance. They play in big games. Actually, since 2016, they finished with 10 or more wins every year except for 16 and 2022, which is Marcus Freeman's first year. They went 9-4 and they stumbled out of the gate. Marcus Freeman in year 2, though, pretty solid. They start out with a win over Navy and Ireland, beat Tennessee State, NC State, and Central Michigan. They lose to Ohio State. This is a 17-14 game, and as Marcus Freeman can count to 11, they might win that game. They played Duke on November 17th, win on the road. They lost at Louisville in probably their worst game of the year. Then they beat USC, beat Pitt, lost at Clemson, beat Wake Forest at Stanford, and then played in the Sun Bowl against Oregon State. And that is where they won 40-8. It was a 10-3 season for Marcus Freeman. They do bring in a new offensive coordinator, though. They bring in Mike Denbrock, and if you're a Notre Dame fan, you definitely know him. He was at Notre Dame from 2002 to 2004 as the offensive tackles and tight ends coach. Left, came back in 2010, stayed there through 16, went to Cincinnati. Then he's at LSU for 2 years, and now he is back at Notre Dame. And he's going to be working with Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard takes over for Sam Hartman. Leonard's an upgrade, athletically, not quite the same level of passer. Only threw 3 touchdown passes last year, but he was injured a lot of the year. Ran for 352 yards and 4 scores. The big thing is that huge win over Clemson. 2022, though, he was, 20 touchdown passes, how good he is with his feet. Lots of love for him then. If he can just stay healthy, that should be a great quarterback situation. If he can't, it's going to be Steven Angeli. He was a pretty good reserve last year. He played in the Sun Bowl against Oregon State and was just nearly perfect. Wide receiver, they're missing guys, but they lost Rico Flores, they lost Chris Tyree, but they have Mitchell Evans, an amazing tight end. 29 grabs, 422 yards. They have Jaden Thomas, Jaden Greathouse, and Jordan Faison. No more for his experience with the lacrosse team. They bring in Chris Mitchell from FIU. They bring in Bo Collins from Clemson. They also even have Tyler Buckner, the former quarterback, kind of playing that Taysom Hill type role. Notre Dame's been a factory for good running backs. They just lost Audric Estime. He's not a Denver Bronco. Kyron Williams was there before that. There's been a lot of good running backs. Now it's Jeremiah Love's turn to be the main man. Over 5 yards a carry. He finished with 385 yards. Jadarian Price is back. He's going to be the backup running back this year. Offensive line is good. Big thing, though, they have to replace Joe Alt. They also have to replace Blake Fisher, who's now with the Houston Texans. Tosh Baker backed up Alt last year. He's probably going to move to the right side of the line. They have some good guys. Charles Gagouche, it started the bowl game. He's looking at the left side. They have 2 very good guards. They have a great center. The offensive line is going to be just fine. On defense, up and down at times last year, but overall a top 10 defense in FBS. The pass defense only gave up 14 touchdown passes, but picked off 14 passes. They were 3rd in the nation in yards allowed in passing. The run defense, fewer than 3 yards per carry, 6 games last year. The pass rush was fine, 24 takeaways. Pass rush lost some few parts. They do have Jordan Buffalo, who can get behind the line. They bring in a Duke transfer in R.J. Oben. Tackles are terrific with Howard Cross. They did lose J.D. Bertrand. He's gone, but Drake Bowen's a pretty good option at the middle linebacker spot. The secondary, though, is probably going to be the biggest concern. Benjamin Morrison's going to have to step up again. 9 interceptions last year. If he can have another season like that, the secondary is going to be just fine. If they can stop the run on defense and keep Riley Leonard healthy, this could be a great team this year. And when I look at the schedule, we can see that. They open up August 31st. They're at Texas A&M. This is interesting. Mike Elko is the former Duke coach, the former Duke quarterbacks at Notre Dame. September 7th, Northern Illinois, at Purdue the 14th, Miami of Ohio, then Louisville the 28th before a bye. And then they get Stanford, at Georgia Tech, Navy and East Rutherford before another bye November 2nd. November 9th, Florida State. November 16th, Virginia. November 23rd, Army in the Bronx. And then they're at USC November 30th. When I break this schedule down, in looking at that win total of over under 10.5, I break it down into 3 parts. Part 1 is Texas A&M. Can they win on the road to start the year? Part 2 goes from Northern Illinois to Army. By all rights, they should win all 10 of those games. But Notre Dame is prone to that slip up. I don't think it's Louisville at home this year, but is it Purdue on the road? Is it Georgia Tech on the road? Florida State's not the same team. If I have to pick a slip up, I'm going Georgia Tech October 19th. And then it's at USC November 30th. I think that game comes down to where is USC at that time? If they're not fighting for anything, are they trying? I look at this, I think this is more likely an 11-win team than a 10 or a 9-win team. There is 110 out there. DraftKings has the over-under set at a flat 10. We're going to take the over 10 wins from Notre Dame at minus 110. They're going to the playoffs. They're going to win 11 games. That's the pick. If you like this content, please hit the like button. Make sure to share it with your friends. And we'll see you next time when we talk about what's remaining of the Pac-12.